This is the first time I will have announced this in public. Everyone in this room is going.
So I've seen a lot of your kind of pictures of your art on Instagram, and I love them.
Cool.
Your passion for art just takes form in so many ways, like not just acting. What approach do you like to take in your drawings?
That's a very good question. So with drawings, I've always kind of, I learnt to draw before I knew how to write, actually. And I'm very dyslexic. So kind of growing up, I found it easier to kind of describe stuff in a visual way, which is probably why I've ended up being an actor. It's kind of, for me, it was always sort of, so I have both my grandparents on my mother's side were artists.
Oh, really?
So they taught me how to draw and stuff like that. So now drawing has become it's basically just a way of, when I've got time, downtime as an actor, which is like all the time, waiting around for someone to say, go and do your job. It's just something to do, and it's just quite a nice thing to kind of keep going. Yeah. In your new role, the Queen is literally your mum. So did you get a glimpse of some of like the advantages that brings? It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. It's actually, the coolest thing is basically actually more than the Queen is having Olivia Colman as your sort of mum.
Yes, yeah.
Kind of like Queen of acting.
All hail
Olivia Colman, I know. Yeah. But it's really cool. It was a really interesting insight. I feel like my kind of feelings about the royal family generally have sort of done full circle and shifted. I know, quite a fan now. Ooh. Yeah. And in the past, you've mentioned that you have ears like Prince Charles. What would you say is your most distinctive feature, kind of apart from that? Well, everyone used to say that I had good cheekbones. Oh, yeah? So hopefully those, because I always feel like that's quite a cool thing to say. That is very cool. Otherwise, I'm quite tall, so maybe my tallness. Actually, do you know what? Forget all those. I have a gap in between my big toe and my next biggest toe, which looks like there should be a sort of sixth toe there, and it's been removed. Yeah. And that is a very distinct feature. No one will see it because I don't get my feet out that often. But if I were to, it'd be quite distinct. Like in life, you hear a lot of different things about you. What is the funniest rumour that you've ever heard about yourself? Or one that you'd like to start? One I'd like to start? Yeah, about yourself. That would be brilliant. Okay. Well, one that I'm trying to think if there's been any good rumours about me. I don't think I'm that famous. I think probably. I think you are. Am I? Oh no. Yeah. At school, there was a rumour going around about me, which I'd want to knock on the head now. Mm-hmm. There was a kid in year 9 who lost his Nike bag. He literally got it the day before. Oh God. I can't remember his name. Josh. It was Josh something. Anyway, Josh someone lost his bag, and the next day, the fingers were pointed at me. Oh no. And I'd just like to knock it on the head now. So anyone who went to that school, it's categorically nothing to do with me. So I'll knock that on the head now. The rumour about me I'd like to spread is that I beat Conor McGregor in an arm wrestle. Good one. What is kind of the most bizarre thing that's ever happened on set? Oh, God, this is great. You're asking all the right questions. Yeah, I was once doing a film, one of the first films I ever did called The Magnificent 11, which is a take on Magnificent 7 about a Sunday League football team. And I was doing that, and we were shooting in 3 Mills Studios, and I was outside just chilling out in between take, and I just stood there. I'd never been on set before this point, so it was new to me. I stood outside, and it literally, like sometimes in the movies, the skies turn and it just, rain comes tumbling down, right? It was like that. I stood outside, and I was in the middle of the beautiful sky, and then boom, just rain like this. Oh my God. And I was like this. I was in my costume. I was going mad. And then it stopped again. This is very strange weather. And then I heard, "Get off the set!" And I was on someone else's set, and it was a rain machine. And I just stumbled onto the set of Line of Duty, I think it was. So I ran off. So that was quite a bizarre thing. Yeah. It's the first time I learned about rain machines. Oh wow. Yeah. I am a massive fan of BTS. I don't know if you've heard of them, but yeah, they're a band. I was wondering, are you a super fan of anything? this is the first time I will have announced this in public. Everyone in this room is going, it's really not that interesting. I am a big fan of hot air balloons. Always have been and always will be. And to the point where I joined the Clifton Hot Air Balloon Appreciation Society.
Oh my god!
But I guess the big secret, which I'm about to announce to you, is that I've never been in one, and I don't want to go in one because I'm a bit scared of heights. So I'm a sort of fanatical hot air balloon fan that will never go in one.
Yeah, how did you become a fan of?
No idea. It's very bizarre. I just remember growing up, and we did have these kind of sticky things that would go on the ceiling in my bedroom that would light up. They were like glow in the dark hot air balloons. Oh. So there's that, and then whenever I saw one, whenever we were like out and about with my family, if you saw a hot air balloon, it was like this mystical thing floating in the sky. They're aesthetically very pretty. Mm-hmm.
And now, what piece of advice has been the best, and who gave it to you?
My best advice I ever got was kind of surprising and quite boring. It was a guy came to my drama school and said he was supposed to be giving a lecture about, you know, what it's like to be an actor and best advice. And it was all pretty dull. I went to the actor, but it was all pretty dull. And then at one point he said, save half. And I was like, what do you mean? And it's nothing profound. It's not like save half your performance. He literally meant financially save half, because you never know what will happen. So I've sort of lived up to that. And yeah, so that's my best advice to anyone, is to save half.
You've worked with so many amazing people. All hail Olivia Colman. Which of your cast members do you admire the most?
Across all things I've done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, obviously Olivia Colman, all hail. Yeah. And then pretty much everyone on The Crown. Yes. It's like this cast is epic and everyone's incredibly brilliant. I still loved working with an actor called Alex Sekeranu on a film I did called God's Own Country. Yeah, I watched it. I love it, by the way. Great. Me too. And he's one of my close friends, and I've just loved working with him. Yeah. Work with him again in a heartbeat. So, yeah.
Being in The Crown, you have witnessed the recreation of many historical events. Which would you have loved to have seen in real life?
Now I would love to have seen the investiture, which obviously I did, recreated. That's not very exciting, actually, is it? Because I tell you what, I would have loved. That's a much better answer. I would have loved to have witnessed the moon landing.
Yes.
That'd be so cool. I know.
Like goosebumps.
I know, right? Yeah. So much more exciting than what we have nowadays. What was the most exciting scientific? It's like a new app. Who cares?
Personally, I'd love to interview Quentin Tarantino. I think that he's like a really just fun person. I was wondering, who would you like to interview?
Have you ever seen, sorry, I'll answer. Have you ever seen the Quentin Tarantino interview where he says, I'm blocking you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Of course.
And you still want to interview him? No, actually, I'd really love to interview David Thewlis, the actor. He's kind of had an incredible career, and there's not an awful lot of him talking about his work, so he probably refused my interview. But I would love to kind of, just as a fan, I'd just love to kind of ask him questions about some of his films, and he's a brilliant actor.
And in past interviews, you've talked about how much you enjoy playing characters with different accents, method actor. What accent would you like to tackle next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'd like to try doing a Northern Irish accent.
Mm-hmm. That's specific.
Yeah, very specific.
Very specific.
I don't know why. I think it'd just be fun to do, wouldn't it?
Fair.
I was sort of picking something out of the hat there. But maybe Northern Irish.
Yeah. I can't get my head around this, but you're literally on Netflix now. Like, you are Netflix. Have you binge watched any movies? What choices would you make?
On Netflix?
On Netflix.
Oh, great.
Or just any in general, actually.
I really like the OA.
Oh, I've seen that around.
It's really good. It's really great. So I've really enjoyed that. But also there's some, they've got really good films on Netflix.
Yeah.
And something I was watching, I'm really excited about Marriage Story. for that to come out.
Yeah, me too.
And The Irishman.
Yes.
And I was really excited that Wolf of Wall Street was on there.
So now this is a bit of a tricky but fun question. You're stranded on an island all by yourself and you can only choose one book, one movie and one song the rest of your life. What ones do you choose?
Love it. So my favourite thing in the world is Desert Island Discs. Yeah. So I've practiced this over and over again. So what is it? One movie, one book?
One song.
One song. So one movie, I would take The Great Beauty, La Grande Bellezza, by Paolo Sorrentino. I would take that film. One book, I would take... I think I would probably take Brooklyn Follies by Paul Auster. And then... One song.
This is a hard one.
This is a hard one, actually. I would probably... I think... Because I'm trying to think of what goes well, because there are a couple of pieces of music in The Great Beauty, which would be quite cool, because I could secretly just play that on repeat, and that would get me another song. But a good song to go with Paul Auster's book would probably be either some jazz or maybe... actually, tell you what, because it's about film and stuff, the Max Richter recomposed Vivaldi, Four Seasons, and I would take Spring One.
Good choice. Okay. And there are so many amazing filmmakers out there that you've worked on as well. Who is the filmmaker that's kind of had the biggest impact on you?
I would say Paul Thomas Anderson has had quite a big impact on me. Films like The Master and There Will Be Blood were kind of big moments for me, kind of filmically. But I think Mike Leigh would probably be the guy. He was the kind of some of my first film experiences were watching his movies. I love the way he tells stories and the kind of his process of working with actors extensively and rehearsing kind of theatrically and then creating this sort of masterpiece. So yeah, Mike Leigh probably.
You have worked on like loads of different roles. You went from like bougie palace to like the barn in God's own country. Are there any things that you kind of like keep from a role?
Like objects?
Object-wise.
I'm not a hoarder, so I quite like keeping everything clean and packed away. But I do have a little, quite unattractive ceramic sheep that was gifted to me by Francis Lee, director of God's Own Country. And he gave it me, and it's on my shelf. It is very ugly. I'm quite a snob when it comes to decorative objects. This is proper ugly, but I just let it go, and it's a really important object to me, so that's one.